I'm Cliff, and this is my garage before and after. Wow, what a difference. Hey, welcome back to the garage. And if this is your first time joining me, thanks for dropping by. It's been about 3 years that I've been piddling around on finishing the interior of the garage. I've gotten diverted onto so many side projects, mainly from buying my first and then my second Porsche Cayman. A few months ago, I got around to painting the walls. Then, during the last few weeks, finally, I finished off the ceiling and installed some new LED lights. Just as a side note, the gray Cayman isn't actually that dirty. It's just been outside for a few days while I've been working on this interior, and it's spring in Florida, which means a massive explosion of pollen. So that yellow color isn't dirt, it's just a thick coating of pollen. I chose a somewhat unusual material to finish off the ceiling. Instead of drywall or acoustic ceiling, I chose to use half-inch expanded polystyrene insulation, also known as styrofoam. This is the same thing I did over in the workshop portion of the garage about a decade ago, and I've been really happy with it. One thing I really like about it is that it's very, very good at cutting down reflected sound. In fact, my wife says it's somewhat eerie to walk into the shop because the sound is so well deadened, it just sounds kind of odd. It may not look as good as drywall, but it's considerably less expensive and it's far easier to install. I used a drywall lift to hold the panels up against the roof trusses and then used a finish nailer to tack strips of OSB to hold them up, nailing through the OSB and the insulation into the trusses. At this point, some of you are probably jumping up and down and yelling, "It's flammable! It's so very flammable!" Actually, it's not. This type of insulation has been treated with a flame retardant chemical. As you can see in this demonstration, when a flame is applied to it, it simply melts. It doesn't actually combust, even though when you apply the flame while holding it vertical. Now, I'm not saying it's as good as drywall. Yes, it will melt and allow a fire through to the somewhat flammable insulation above it and then into the attic space. But to be honest, if I have flames 10 feet off the floor, this building is a goner anyway. Drywall isn't going to make a difference. As for the lighting, my original plan was to install some typical T8 fluorescent fixtures and use LED bulbs, which was going to cost around $800. But then it came across these little beauties. Well, maybe not so little. I think the best way to describe them is that they're an integrated LED bulb and fixture all in one. They attach to the ceiling with these little spring clips. You just screw the clips to the ceiling and then pop the fixture right up into them. Another neat little feature is this little electrical socket in the end. You can put several different things into there. The lights come with this switched plug-in wire, so you can just plug it right into the end of the light. This goes into a regular light socket, and then you have a switch you can turn the light on and off. It also comes with these bare wire connectors so that you can just connect it right to your electric lighting, presumably a switched wire, and then you can control them hardwired into your building's electrical system. You also have a couple of options to connect the lights to each other. One is this supplied double-ended connecting cord. That way you can plug one end into a light and then you can plug the other end into the next light in the series so that you can effectively wire them together by just plugging them together. But my favorite option, which is the one that I use, is this stubby little connector that lets you just put it right here into the end of the light. And now the other end of it plugs right into the end of the next light so that you can put them together directly end to end. There's one thing I want to mention about the reviews on Amazon. I saw several of them saying that the mounting clips were very cheap and flimsy. Now, I didn't find this to be the case at all. Maybe in the past they were shipping a different kind of clip, but the ones that came with these lights were more than adequate to hold the fixture. In fact, if they had been any stiffer, it would have been excessively difficult to get the lights into them. The lights have only been in for a few days, but so far I'm really happy with them. They were relatively easy to install and they put out a tremendous amount of light. Each 8-foot fixture puts out 10,000 lumens. Now, to be honest, just two of these fixtures would have been an adequate amount of light for this room. However, I like bright, evenly lit work areas, so I installed 9 fixtures here in the garage, which means I have 90,000 lumens of illumination in this 700-foot portion of the garage. As much as I love all the various aspects I've talked about, my favorite thing about these lights is the price. Instead of spending $800 on the old style T8 fixtures, I was able to brightly illuminate this entire room for just $200. And since that $200 was for a 10-pack of these fixtures, I even have one left over to put in some high intensity task lighting, maybe over a future workbench or something. In fact, I love these lights so much that I'm going to be removing the old T8 fixtures from the workshop area of the garage sometime in the future and replace them with these type lights. The old T8s are almost 15 years old. They don't work so well when it's cold anymore, and I'm guessing the ballasts are going to start dying soon. I was looking at almost $2,000 to replace them, but now I'll be able to do that and get great lighting for about 1/4 as much. As I said, installation was pretty straightforward and easy. The one tip I have for you is to make sure that you attach the clips to the ceiling in a perfectly straight line. Otherwise, it gets kind of hard to fit the fixture into those clips. Now, since my OSB strips were definitely not in a perfectly straight line, I couldn't use them for a reference. So I used this Bosch laser to put a laser line on the ceiling and get them lined up properly, and it worked like a charm. Okay, gang, now before you leave, go down there and find that thumbs up button and give me a like on this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, give that big old red subscribe button a click. Not only is it free, you're really going to enjoy it. Trust me on this one. And finally, if you want to keep up with everything I'm doing here in the garage, including more renovations like my new DIY split HVA system that I'm going to be putting in here real soon, or my first time driving the Cayman on a racetrack here in a few weeks, go click on that bell icon. That turns on notifications for this channel, and now YouTube will let you know every time that I post something new from here in Cliff's Garage. I will see you next time.